Wow, good morning. Hello. Thank you for the kind introduction. James, appreciate it. And it's a great honor and privilege to be here today and to have an opportunity to share a few thoughts. First, a few things. Going from being behind a virtual screen for 2 years and now on stage in front of 1,200 people, this is amazing. Scary. They don't prepare you for this. And secondly, I do apologize if I cough a little bit here and there. I don't have COVID. I have a nasal drip issue that I'm dealing with allergies. Old age issues all you young people have to look forward to. Now, I believe the host breakfast idea was started in 1926 as a way to promote statewide unity by gathering key stakeholders to discuss their differences and promote goodwill and understanding. Well, we sure need that today more than ever. So let me start by thanking James, the host committee, the many volunteers, and Shandy and her amazing team from the Chamber for putting on this magnificent event. Also, a huge thank you and gratitude, and I'm going to name a few people, and maybe we'll give them a huge round of applause at the end, but to the many representatives of our armed forces here who do so much to keep us safe, the wonderful 40th Infantry Division Band, the Joint Armed Forces Color Guard, a wonderful pledge by Mehmet, and congratulations on graduating, an inspiring invocation by Pastor Simmons, and what an outstanding rendition of our national anthem by the Sacramento Gay Men's Chorus. Thank you to our governor and first partner Jennifer Newsom, who couldn't be here, but for their support for this event. And welcome to Lieutenant Governor Eleni Kounalakis, Congresswoman Doris Matsui, and Dee Mize from GoBiz, as well as all of our other members from legislature who are here today. Thank you. Now, Albert Einstein said, "The world as we see it is only the world as we see it. Others may see it differently." I'd like to share a story with you today, and through that, show you a glimpse of what the world looks like from the eyes of someone who started out as a 6-year-old refugee. It's about how we see positivity versus negativity, and we certainly know there's a lot of visible tragedy, pain, and suffering all around us in the world today. Now, first, with your permission, I wanted to start by breaking my own record for saying a dad joke in front of this size of an audience. Now, for those of you that know me, I tell a dad joke to my kids to connect with them, and mostly they roll their eyes and glad that I'm not a stand-up comedian and I have a full-time job. But as I make these remarks today, it dawned on me on the challenges we're facing on the economy and the ups and downs, and I leaned into my experiences of me having my own business at one time, which went up and down every single day. In fact, we went up and down every hour, every minute, every second. I used to sell yo-yos. All right. Have I thanked you for being the best audience ever? Wow, thank you. You're too kind. I was born in Uganda, Africa, as a young boy, and I witnessed the horrors from a dictator who somewhat overnight evicted all of the Asian people out of the country, and most had to leave with nothing but the clothes they were wearing. We were nomadic refugees for several years, going from East Africa to India, and then eventually to refugee settlements in England. Now imagine this young boy who spoke no English, racism was visible, a chip on the shoulder for the pain and loss, parents who worked double shifts to make ends meet, and a boy who did not feel like he belonged, certainly did not want to go to school. Now one day, along comes this white 55-year-old balding teacher with a ginger beard. Every day he would speak in Hindi to this boy and who was dragging his feet to school and say, "Come on, Kailesh, you can do it. Hurry up to class. Lots of learning today." Mr. King was his name, and he helped me see a world from a very different angle. Now, I learned a quote from a mentor many years later that said, "People don't care what you know until they know you care." Mr. King had no common ties with me. He did not look like me. He was not related to me, but he showed me he cared, and he ignited a fire and thirst for learning and for being able to forgive and having empathy that are still not quenched 50 years later. Now, why do I share this story with you? When I reflect on my early childhood, it can be easy to remember the horrors of being a refugee, of losing all your possessions, of eating one meal a day, of not feeling like you belong. But when I close my eyes, what I remember are not those things, but the opportunity that my many teachers, mentors, allies, sponsors, and friends all contributed to in getting me to be here on this stage speaking in front of you today. The positive far outweigh the negative. Now, with that theme of positivity, let's focus on California. Now, I'm an electronic engineer and a chartered accountant, so I certainly know my ones and zeros and my debits and credits. And what I'd like to inspire you today in my remarks is to help you move away from these binary conversations and lenses that we see California in today. Most conversations converge to a yes, no, agree, disagree, support, oppose, and so on. Sadly, most of the problems and the challenges we're facing are very complex and require a very different way of thinking. And as someone who's lived on 4 continents and amongst many cultures, please trust me when I tell you that California is such a great place to live, work, and do business. There is nowhere like California. I truly mean that, not just as the chair of the chamber, but trust me. However, if an alien happened to come and listen to the commentary on California, they may feel like the sky is falling down. So let me share a few thoughts and some facts about California that may allow you to see a different positive California as I do, and illustrate why people want to come here and be here in California. Now, California is the 5th largest economy in the world. Just think about that, 5th largest country if it was on its own, with $3 trillion plus gross state product. 1 in 8 Americans live in California, with 40 million of us. That's 10 more million people than Texas and more than all of Canada. 1.2 million immigrants have made California their home over the last decade. California visitor travel spending will reach $145 billion next year. Our CSU system is the largest 4-year public university in the nation that confers 130,000 degrees every year. Our 116 community colleges provide 1.8 million students opportunities to progress in life. Our California agriculture accounts for 40% of all production in the nation and is the top producer for lemons, avocados, broccoli, almonds, to name just a few. Now think about this, 1/3 of all of our national vegetables, 1/3 are all grown right here, and 2/3 of all fruit and nuts are grown right here in our state of California. Now, California ports are the largest in the country and account for 40%, 40, of the nation's imports and 30% of all the exports. We export $27 billion to Mexico, $18 billion to Canada, $16 billion to China, to name a few. Our top foreign-owned establishments that really invest in jobs in California include Japan at $10 billion, the UK at $8 billion, and France at $6 billion, to name a few. Silicon Valley, where I live and have grown up, has over 1/3 of all venture capital funding in our nation. It's the heart of innovation in the world. California has 4 million small businesses that employ half the workforce of our state, and over 1/3 of them are minority started or owned. From the US Consensus Bureau study over 20 years, California has declining poverty rates which are lower than Texas and the national average, and also has significantly higher per capita income. California is where such great inventions were invented, such as the hula hoop, Barbie doll, Shirley Temple, the Egg McMuffin, and the internet. We have the most national parks of any state, with 9 of 59. California has the highest point, Mount Whitney, and the lowest point, Death Valley, in the nation. We have the world's largest tree, General Sherman. You should definitely go and see it. Great. And San Francisco cable cars were the first moving national historic landmark. Wow. Now, if that's not enough to convince you that people want to come here and be in California, according to the Center for Biological Diversity, California is more biologically diverse than anywhere in the world. Even the microorganisms want to be in California. They love California. All right, excuse me. Let me talk a little bit about the positive work the Chamber does. Switching gears. I'm incredibly proud and honored to be the chair of the California Chamber this year and have seen firsthand the positive impact the organization has in helping businesses flourish in California. The Chamber is a powerful voice that is respected and is respectful in working with all stakeholders. Over its 130-year history, the Chamber is engaged on advocacy and policy to support job growth, employment law, training and products and services for compliance obligations, and international trade relationships. Representing 14,000 diverse employers across all industries in California that employ a quarter of the private workforce. With 70% of the members having less than 100 employees, focusing on small and medium business growth is very important to the Chamber. The Chamber helps California businesses, excuse me, the California Chamber helps businesses comply with ever-changing state laws and businesses with state laws and engages with stakeholders to set appropriate policy and legislation that enhances our state's economic growth. You should check out, by the way, California Works, where the Chamber shares stories of these growing businesses right here. When the private sector succeeds, we all succeed. Now, I have an incredible honor and privilege to take a minute to recognize somebody who has been incredible to the Chamber, Alan Zerenberg. Now, yes. Now, how did the Chamber become so successful, you may ask? Well, Alan retired at the end of 2021 and has led that charge for over 23 years as CEO and president at the Chamber. Prior to that, he worked for several governors, was in the US Air Force, gaining a rank of captain, obtained a law degree, I believe, right here in Sacramento. He's been a foundation builder for what the Chamber is today. Thank you, Alan. And we want to show a video to recognize how much Alan is respected as an effective voice for business and the strong economy. Thank you, Shandy.
Business is the lifeblood of California. It creates the jobs that creates the quality of life that everybody in California loves. But most importantly, it creates the leaders of California, the people that are in business, that are entrepreneurs, that are innovators, and make our life better every day.
The California Chamber of Commerce is one of California's most powerful interests. And for 23 years, the driving force behind this success has been Chamber President Alan Zerenberg. Alan Zerenberg has not only seen it all, but has hugely influenced what did or didn't happen. He has picked the Chamber's fights carefully. One reason it has been so successful, his effectiveness in representing California's business community is legendary. Alan Zerenberg is a leader who focuses on solutions, a coalition man, a common sense guy who knows how to get things done, who helped create an economy rich in jobs and innovation. Alan understood this simple truth, that a skilled workforce is essential to California's success. The success of his leadership will be felt for decades. Alan Zerenberg, California is a better place because of your leadership and dedication. Thank you for all you've done.
Thank you, Alan. You're an incredible leader. Thank you. And you may also know that we have our new and the Chamber's first female president and CEO in Jennifer Barrera, and she is doing a fantastic job, so thank you. Okay, so you may say, Kailesh, everything seems so rosy to you in California. No issues? You want to be positive. Okay, well, here's my message to you. First of all, we are so lucky to live in a state like California that we should have way more positive messaging than negative commentary. Now, don't get me wrong, California has its fair share of challenges, from taxation, housing, water, fire, homelessness, transportation, inflation, food insecurity, digital divide, and many more. But what I've learned over the many years that I've been here is that we're facing complex and exponential challenges that have no simple solutions for scale and urgent impact. Sadly, if we don't come together to tackle these issues, they will continue to grow exponentially. We must move away from this us v them mentality and imply new design thinking for the modern world, as old and tried and tested ways will just not work. So how might we solve some of these issues? I'll share another quote by Albert Einstein, who said, "The world as we have created it is a process of our thinking. It cannot be changed without changing our thinking." So we have to work together in ways we have probably never done so before. One, with really strong public-private partnerships, as each of us alone will not solve these issues at scale and complexity. Two, think differently together, as the pace of change is so fast in this hyper-connected digital transformation world where we need to think in terms of months and years, not decades. And three, focus on scale versus disparate and disjointed efforts that only help in small pockets locally. And each of us individually and collectively can be accountable for responsibility of thinking through what we are doing and why, and be willing to let go of artificial boundaries, go outside of our comfort zone, drive accountability in our action and embrace change, as this window that we're living in right now will pass us by if we're sideline coaches. And certainly, if we're courageous enough to pick one or two of these mega issues that we're dealing with the surplus that we have, and pick what we call our moonshot, I think we can tackle them and solve them, and then there's a ripple effect to go and solve all the other issues. We need to have the courage to discuss and understand each other's perspectives, and especially focus on unintended consequences that may impact California years down the road. And so hopefully we can manage, not manage out of fear, but build for good for the future. Now, I'll leave you with this, that in discussing the future with my kids, I shared with them that in this decade, we, the three of us, my kids and I, will be living in outer space. So I said, think big, think different. And so I said, wouldn't it be cool when we eventually, the three of us, go to the moon, to the bar? And I said, the food and drink will be out of this world, but there may not be much of an atmosphere. So thank you all for allowing me to be here. Stay safe, look after each other. Back to you, James.